Okay, so now that I am armed with my obligatory cup of tea, I'm going to give out the Kizarni We Hardly Knew You awards for this week. Some of the awards I'm actually not even really sure about myself. This week was very difficult to pick some awards, especially in the categories of best whatever, because this week was bad, and things just didn't really stand out this week in a lot of areas. Bad things stood out. Good things, not so much. So I've given it a go, but a lot of you will probably disagree with some of my picks, and you'll probably be perfectly justified in doing so. If you do, let me know, and we can talk it out. Okay, so starting off, the Jeff Hardy Award for Underachievement in Promo, without a shadow of a doubt, goes to John Morrison and Dolph Ziggler for the disgrace of a promo that they went through on SmackDown. Absolutely horrendous. Just the fact that that even got televised, and then the fact that Ziggler was allowed to do another promo segment at Breaking Point after that is mind-blowing. Whoever sanctioned this promo and thought it was good should be fired immediately. Just, these two are going to have to put on one holy fucker of a match to make up for this. I was so angry. So angry. Anyway, best promo I'm going to give to The Undertaker, because he delivered the only promo this week that I particularly enjoyed, and actually by The Undertaker standards I thought it was one of the best promos I've ever seen him deliver, and it made me really excited about their match at Breaking Point. Worst performer I'm going to give collectively to the Divas of SmackDown, simply because they are an absolute embarrassment to the WWE. An absolute embarrassment, with the exception of Natalya and, when she's at full fitness, Michelle McCool. Wrestling-wise, they're an embarrassment, and promo-wise, they are all embarrassing. These little segments about Maria and Dolph Ziggler's relationship need to end. This is not how you're going to fix your Divas division. Okay? It's not. Sake! Best performer, nobody really stood out for me this week. I've got to be honest. Nobody made me think, oh, they were really good this week. There was none of that. I'm going to give it to The Undertaker, and that's kind of telling that I'm giving it to somebody who not only didn't wrestle, but didn't touch anybody this week. But out of principle, I'm also going to give an honourable mention to Howard Finkel, because I love Howard Finkel. Worst moment of the week, I'm going to give... there were a lot of bad moments this week. I think what I'm going to give it to is... I didn't really mention it, but on Raw, I mentioned there was that awful body slam challenge between The Big Show and Mark Henry. And it was awful, but prior to that, the whole gimmick, the laugh had been that Santino Marella was offered a hot tub if he could win a body slam challenge with The Big Show, which, you know, is just a comedy segment. But what happens is The Big Show very quickly body slams Santino Marella, and Bob Barker obviously hadn't been told what the rules of a body slam contest were, because he body slammed him, the referee called for the bell, and the bell rang, and Bob Barker stood at the top of the ramp for about a minute, being like, "Who's the winner? Did he win? Who's the winner?" And the referee eventually was just like, "How obvious do I need to make it?" So he raised the Big Show's hand, and Bob Barker finally got it. I didn't think Bob Barker was that bad, but and I like Bob Barker. Who doesn't like Bob Barker? But this was confusing and awkward and unpleasant, and I just didn't like it. And for that reason, I'm going to give that the worst moment of the week. But, you know, there are a lot of moments which arguably were a lot worse. The Shockmaster Award for the best moment of the week. This was really hard for me to give out, because there wasn't a single moment this week that I thought stood out. Nothing that I thought deserves this award. Unless I've forgotten something. But the fact that I've forgotten it should surely show that it doesn't deserve this award. So I'm going to give it to Kane interrupting before the start of Khali and David Hart Smith's match simply because it meant I didn't have to watch the great Khali wrestle. That was the best moment of this week, realising that I didn't have to watch the great Khali wrestle. That's depressing. The Mike Adamle Award for Underachievement in Commentary, this is always going to be the award that has the biggest competition, I feel. There's always going to be so many dreadful things coming out of the commentary team. I'm going to give it this week, well, I suppose mainly I'm going to give it to Jim Ross. It's 2 weeks in a row, JR. And I'm going to give it to Jim Ross for the specific moment where the Belfast brawl between Finlay and Mike Knox was terrible. The crowd weren't into it at all, and it was just rotten. And then Mike Knox puts the table in the corner and throws Finlay into it, and the table doesn't break. So this match is already an epic, epic fail. And just to make this moment even worse than it already was, Jim Ross does something very Michael Cole and says, Finlay thrown into that chair. It's a table. It's not a chair. This was bad enough already, JR. Don't fuck it up even more. But in principle, I suppose this award kind of goes to Jim Ross and Todd Grisham together, because they were just awful. Awful, awful, awful this week. They need to pick up their game. I think sitting next to Todd Grisham has made JR a lot worse. They need to get rid of Grisham. I'm convinced it's Grisham's fault. It can't just be JR's fault, surely. But I want to give an honourable mention here. And I think it was Jerry Lawler. I think it was Jerry Lawler. It could have been someone else, though. I could be mistaken. But I think it was Jerry Lawler. But it can't have been Jerry Lawler. It must have happened on SmackDown. It must have. Maybe it was Todd Grisham. If someone could tell me who said this, but it was somebody who said there have been some great hitters in the past. Mike Tyson, Muhammad Ali, great boxers. But I don't know if anybody's ever had a right hand as devastating as the Big Show's. That's possibly the most inane thing I've ever heard anybody say. And to compare the Big Show to Muhammad Ali is just plain wrong. I think it might have been Grisham, actually. Sounds like something Todd Grisham would say. Anyway, that was awful. Worst show, SmackDown, 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 SmackDown. This was one of the worst SmackDowns I've ever seen. Best show, ECW. When I was going in to make the video today, I was going to say it was comfortably ECW, but actually, Raw had its moments. But ECW was free of all the crap bits that brought Raw down. So it was ECW. ECW was the only show that I found myself actively enjoying this week. Worst match of the week. Every week that Mark Henry and The Big Show have a match with one another, it's going to be Mark Henry and The Big Show for having a match that was even worse than their match the week previous. But honourable mention is going to go to Melina versus Layla because it was shocking. But is that 3 weeks in a row now we've had Mark Henry in the worst match of the week? Tells you something. Best match of the week, again, nothing really stood out. There were some good matches. Evan Bourne Chavo was quite good. MVP Chris Jericho was quite good. But I'm going to give it to the Hurricane against Paul Burchill because I think Paul Burchill is so underrated. I think he deserves a shout out in this award because the match was good, although I do think it could have been better than it was. Thanks for watching, guys. Sorry if it was a bit of a nightmare putting up with me today. And sorry it's so late. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you agree with me. Let me know if SmackDown offended you quite as horrendously as it offended me. And if you want to comment, rate, subscribe, that would be awesome. I hope you guys have a good one and take care. Alright, bye.